Hello everyone and welcome to part 4 of my car tier list where I rank the cars that you send me. So for those of you who haven't seen this before, the way this works is the cars in this video, all down here, were taken from the comments in the last video, and if you want to add any cars into the next video, just put some comments in this video and I'll add them. Now, to start with, I need to add a car that I forgot to put in the last video, because somehow I neglected to notice the Mercedes-Benz AMG 1. Or no, it's Mercedes AMG 1, because Mercedes, they do a whole separate thing now that Mercedes AMG and Mercedes Benz are technically separate brands, but I mean, yeah, it's still a Mercedes. It's a Mercedes AMG 1. Now, what this is, for those of you who haven't heard of this, it's basically a hypercar with the same V6 engine that modern Formula One cars use. And I mean, unfortunately, it was when it was revealed in 2023. Everyone sort of said this car looks and feels like a car that should have been out 4 or 5 years ago, and that's because it was planned to be out then. It was first unveiled 2016. They were going to give it a few years to get it working properly. Unfortunately, it proved to be a bit more complicated than they first thought, because you had the problems with getting an F1 engine to work on the road and also get it a proper working road legal car that still shares a good deal of the elements that make an modern F1 engine so brilliant. Also, I mean, I'm not a particular fan of the new V6s. I say new, they've been out for more than 10 years now. I think they're too drony, but they are a brilliant feat of engineering. Now, the car itself, I think. Now, a lot of you probably put it in Dream Car, and whilst I can see why, I don't know. I'm just not the biggest fan of all these modern hypercars. You can call me old-fashioned, but my favourite eras of cars are the 80s, 90s and 2000s. And the 2010s were brilliant as well, but I don't know, just most things after that, I don't know, they don't seem to have the same sort of sparkle for me. I think it makes sense to put it above this Aston Martin Vantage though. Anyway, our first completely new car, the Ferrari 12 Cylindri. Well, I call it the 12 Cylindri. Like in English, technically it's a 12 cylinder, and in Italian, right, I apologise to all Italians for my pronunciation of this, the Ferrari 12 Cilindri. That was so awful. But yeah, I just call it the 12 Cylindri. I think that sounds the best, at least to my English ears. Now, the car itself. Now, I know I was just going on about modern cars, they don't excite me as much. This does, though, because it's still a naturally aspirated V12, and it sounds brilliant. I don't quite like it as much as the 812 and the F12 that came before it, because, I don't know, maybe that'll change as I get more used to it, but it's still a brilliant, brilliant car. It's a proper front-engine V12 Ferrari GT, and I think I'm going to put it up here in Dream Car. I don't know, I've still not quite got used to the looks completely yet, but the rest of the car, absolutely brilliant. I think I'm going to put it above the Envision 74, below the RS6 Avant. Yes. Next car, 2014 Mercedes C300. I'm going to have every single generation of Mercedes ever at this rate. Now, I'm fairly certain that 2014 was like the last year or the second to last year this generation of C-Class was even produced, so this is just the last generation of it. And it's a C300, so it's a mid to high-end C-Class. Obviously nowhere near an AMG, but certainly better than a low-end C220D or... No, wait, I don't think that's right. That sounds more like a BMW now, 3220D or 2220D. I'm getting my German car name designations mixed up. I'm just going to put it one step below these two E-classes because, I don't know, this does remind me, just talking about this though, it does remind me of the C63 Black Series, which I think is potentially the most underrated Black Series. Although actually, maybe the most underrated Black Series is the SLK Black Series, because I never hear anyone talking about that. I do hear the C63 get mentioned fairly frequently. That's a brilliant car, that is. It's like a German muscle car. Actually, all the Black Series, except the newest one, the GT Black Series, they're all like German muscle cars. Big V8 or V12 powering the rear wheels, tyre smoking maniacs of cars. They're brilliant. What isn't brilliant, however, is this. This is a Hyundai Santa Fe, and it's just the most boring car in the world. It's exactly the sort of car bought by people who don't know anything about cars or don't care about cars at all. It's just dreadful. It's a dreadful rock box of a car. I just don't like it. For me, there's no redeeming features about it. Yes, it's cheap. Yes, I'm sure it'll last for ages, but it's just so fantastically boring. And I complained about this Datsun Sunny, or Nissan Sunny, being boring, but this is worse because, I mean, if I saw one of these today, I'd at least give it a second glance because, I mean, it's not a classic. That would be ridiculous, but at least at least it stands out in the sea of crossovers. This doesn't. This is awful. Anyway, next car. Ford Focus ST. Didn't specify which model, so I've gone with the third generation. Yeah, because there was a Focus ST 170. Then the second gen. This is a third gen. Now, these are brilliant little cars. They're brilliant little hot hatchbacks. Very fun. Very affordable. Very practical. They're just the ethos of what a good standard hot hatchback should be. They're not any of the crazy super hot hatchbacks like the Megane Trophy R or the A45S Plus. It's just all you want from a hot hatch. I mean, yes, there are plenty of hot hatches that I prefer, but this is a pretty good car. All things considered, it's really quite a good all-rounder. I think I'm going to put it one step above the Renault 5 GT Turbo. Now, next car, Peugeot 205 GTI. Now, when the original Golf GTI first came out, everyone thought, I mean, even though hot hatches were in their infancy, right, this is the best hot hatch, especially as like some of the other contenders came out. The Golf GTI is the best hot hatch that's currently on sale. Maybe not that will ever be made, but yes. The 205 GTI was better than the Golf GTI. It was just better in every metric, and by every metric I mean it was more fun. And that's the main thing you wanted from this tiny little peppy new hot hatch craze, on new at the time. So yes, it's just the best hot hatch ever made in most people's eyes, and honestly, I'd have a hard time disagreeing with them. It just looks so gloriously 80s and boxy as well. It's just a brilliant looking thing. It looks boxy, but there's also some elements of they didn't try to make it. There's some elements of the styling where they didn't try to make it a complete cube, like the lovely little pepper pot wheels. Those are great. But I think I'm going to put it in Sub-Zero below this Chevy. Do I put it above? No. I think I'm going to put this here. I think that's a good place to put it. Right, this is a Citroen Ami, and it's not technically a car. What it is basically it's a quadricycle basically. So no power, tiny. You can drive it if you're 14, but if I was 14, I'd wait another few years so I can drive a proper car, because this is just, I mean, look at it. Would you want it to be seen in that? Why is this a thing? It is just a cube. It's a cardboard box basically on which, actually no, what is a cardboard box? It's a Citroen Ollie, which I think is a concept car that's made of cardboard. There's also the Trabant, but we don't talk about the Trabant. If you know much about cars, you probably already know about that dreadful piece of junk. But yeah, this Citroen Ami, it's just terrible. It barely even qualifies as a car. The only reason I'm adding it on my list is so I can ridicule it. However, it is slightly less shameful than a Darts Prombron or this Ford Super Truck. And it's going to be infinitely better built and more reliable than this Yugo. So it goes above those three. Somehow. I never thought I'd go above anything, but here we are. Next car, Porsche Boxster 981. Now this is a great car. Proper mid-engined sports car, and potentially the best Boxster ever, or at least this generation, because then they brought the flat 4 engines in the Boxsters, the 718 Boxster, which wasn't great. I mean, then you've got the new flat 6 Boxsters, when they brought the flat 6 back for things like the Boxster Snoop Binder and the like. But for me, at least my favourite Boxster of all time is this generation, the 981 Boxster Spider, which this isn't here, this is the base Boxster we have here. But it's still a great sports car. Unfortunately, now it carries a bit of a reputation where they just bought by people who want to say, I've got a Porsche. So usually when people say, oh, I've got a Porsche, it'll be either a cheap 997 911 or it'll be a Boxster. I mean, if someone says, I've got a Boxster, at least they're being honest about it. Because if you're being honest about it, then you probably bought it because you know it's a great sports car rather than you've bought it because you want a Porsche. But yeah, no, this is a cool little car. I think I'm going to put it above the MX-5 because, I don't know, I just prefer it to the MX-5. The MX-5 is a great car though, also brilliant little bundle of joy of a car. Anyway, next car, Land Rover Defender. Didn't specify which one, so I've gone with the 110 Heritage Edition, which is too expensive, but I think it does look quite good, let's be honest. The Heritage Edition Defenders, they were just too expensive. They couldn't really be used as farm vehicles anymore because just the price of them. But I don't know, I think they're probably my favourite of the original Defenders, just simply because I think they're the best looking ones. And anyway, it's hardly like the original Defender received many fundamental changes. I mean, I suppose my favourites would be the mad V8 ones that have a 0 to 60 timed like 5.6 seconds for some ungodly reason, even though it has similar aerodynamic qualities to a brick wall. But yeah, I don't know, I like this Heritage Edition Defender. I think I'm going to put it below this Celica and above the LM002. Yes, I'm putting that there. Anyway, next car, Lotus Exige S2. Now, if this is a fun little mid-engine sports car, this is a proper hardcore. Like, this is like an everyday usable sports car, the Boxster. This is a hardcore track tool with number plates. I mean, okay, it's not the same hardcore track tool area as a Caterham or an Ariel Atom or a Radical, but actually, to be honest, the S1 Exige was on the same level as those cars. The S2 was a bit better because it sort of bridged the gap between like usable sports cars like the Boxster and hardcore sports cars like the Ariel Atom, which is probably in part because Lotus had their own ultra hardcore sports car, the 211. So that might have been why they softened up the Exige just a bit. Either way, it's still an incredible car, and I think, in terms of the way they look, it's probably my favourite. And I don't know. I mean, all Exiges are brilliant to drive as well. So they're potentially the last ones were a bit better, but we've not got that on this list, so hey, can't really rank it. I'm gonna put it above the Forester STI, below this Aston Martin Vantage. Right, next car, Suzuki Swift Sport. Now, the original naturally aspirated Swift Sports, I wasn't specified which one, so I've just gone with this one, the newest one. Now, the original naturally aspirated ones, they were great. They were just modern incarnations of the classic hot hatches like the 205 GTI. They were naturally aspirated. They didn't have much power, but they were very, very light and very, very fun. And because they didn't have much power, you could push them and mess about in them without either killing yourself or spending a night in the cells for dangerous driving. This though, this really dropped the ball because it still didn't have much power, but it was now very heavy and had a turbocharged engine instead of a naturally aspirated one, which sort of took the fun out of it. So it really ended up instead of being like the most fun hot hatch on the market, it just ended up being the fastest Swift, and it wasn't even that fast. It was nowhere near on the level of a Ford Focus ST or a Golf GTI, and certainly well away from something like a Civic Type R. But yes, it just really drops the ball here, and it ends up winding up in average in between this Ford Cortina and these Urks. Anyway, next car, Ford Bronco Raptor. Now, we don't get these here. It is daft, but unlike these, it's sort of daft in a way that it's sort of endearing, because I could quite happily see myself blasting through sand dunes or just going through some sort of technical off-road course in this, and the Raptor. It just has this massive, super powerful V8. This car, I know what it is. It's like a theatrical car. It doesn't care about practicality or being sensible or even being the fastest thing in the world. It just cares about the theatrics of it all and being loud and flamboyant and fun. So yes, as much as I've said my disdain for all these SUVs and things, I don't know, weirdly I have a slight soft spot for the Bronco Raptor. I'm going to put it above the Unimog, I think. Our final car, Ford Capri 1300, which I think this is one of the original Capris, if not the original Capri, and it's aged oh so very well. It's a brilliant looking thing. It didn't have quite as much go as the later Capris, but for then it was certainly enough. It wasn't a proper sports car. It was more like a stylish coupe. If anything, it was more like what the Audi TT was for the 2000s. But I think this is infinitely more desirable, and I think putting it one step below the Celica is a sensible place to put it. But yes, that's the tier list. Surprisingly quick on this. I usually spend a lot more time rambling on about things. That doesn't mean these cars don't deserve me rambling on about them. I've just not done it. But yes, hopefully you've enjoyed this. If you want to put some more cars for the next episode, just put them in the comments below, and hopefully you've had a great day or night or evening or whatever you're having, wherever you are, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.